Hey, I'm Jim, and I'm on the road to Survivor Branford, Season 8. What's that? I got plenty of room, hop in! It's time again for all of our favorite road trip. I'm about to meet 14 players out in Branford, each of which are eager to play this game, and will do whatever it takes to be named Sole Survivor. We're sticking with our tried and true approach of pairing standout returning players with a high potential group of new players, an approach that hasn't steered us wrong yet. Now I could go on, but seeing as the game can't start without me, I better hit the road soon. So that said, let's go ahead and meet this year's cast. Where do I start when it comes to Pat? Perhaps Survivor Branford's first ever superfan. He's traveled over 1,000 miles to be here and has no plans of going home anytime soon. Given his obsession with the show, no matter what returning players cross his path, Pat should be able to use his knowledge of them to his benefit, whether that's aligning with or targeting the veterans. But that's not all. Pat's smart enough to know not to advertise his fandom, and understands that it's only natural to look to relate to many of his fellow new players over the shared experience. With this strategic background, and through turning on his charm, Pat may find it quite easy to be included in many early game alliances. And that's key, as physical tribal challenges may not suit his skill set, which can be a harsh spotlight to have on you. Someone that's been in the mix to be a Survivor Branford Castaway for these last few seasons is ready to make her debut here in Season 8, and her name is Haley. Now she's coming into this game with lots of confidence, and for good reason. As is the case with most new players these days, Haley knows what she's getting into with this game and will be ready to hit the ground running. Her active and athletic background is sure to make her an asset within her tribe as the game begins. And in an effort to not be one-dimensional, Haley has been finding opportunities and using those she knows in her real life to prepare her social game so that she's ready to interact with anyone she may come across. A player with this kind of profile is always someone that I'm going to keep my eye on. Being able to hold her own physically, with an understanding of the game, and just the right mix of confidence and motivation for self-improvement, should earn Haley anyone's consideration as a big-time threat in this game. I think that this season, we're going to see an entirely different version of Lexi. I think even she would admit that last season didn't go quite as she would have expected. The biggest change I'll be looking for is her level of outspokenness. Last season, Lexi was very quiet, and it didn't end up serving her well in the end. But the funny thing is that Lexi isn't such a quiet person in her real life. Chalk it up to nerves or trying to feel out the game. With that hopefully behind her, Lexi should be ready to show more of her true self this season, which could carry with it very different results for her game. A prepared Lexi with veteran status is probably going to surprise a lot of people. If I could warn the players ahead of time, this is the one thing I'd want them to hear. Don't underestimate Lexi in Season 8. I expect a very interesting dynamic to be in play when it comes to Michael. He's a very quick study, but also prefers to take his time when it comes to building relationships. So the question I'm going to be asking is, what wins out? Does Michael's ability to learn the game and adapt quickly allow him to set himself up early for a sustained run of success? Or does his style of building relationships over time come back to hurt him with his tribe in a game where time is certainly not a luxury? If you asked a group of people if the strategic game or the social game is more important to the game of Survivor, it shouldn't surprise you if the opinion is split right down the middle. History has shown that it's possible for a player who leans much more in one direction to go far or even win this game, whether it be someone more focused on the strategic or the social side. So maybe balance just might be a bit overrated. Michael's looking to add his name to a long list of players who have done very well in this game by being a master in one aspect rather than just merely good in multiple categories. One player has taken the approach of doing very little preparation for this game, instead relying upon his natural abilities to read players and understand what makes them tick. I'm happy to have Danny as part of this season, and I'm excited to see what he brings. Danny might be onto something, as one trap many players fall into with Survivor is coming in with a set plan and then not being able to adjust. With that not a concern, Danny will truly be tested in how well he can peg his tribe mates and how he can use that to his advantage. Given that this game is only a fraction of the length of a standard game of Survivor, it may come down to Danny's first impressions only in determining who he wants to play this game with. While I have no doubt Danny won't be a physical liability, I think that he, more than almost anyone else, will need to hope that his initial reads prove true, and that those who he aligns with will present him with a long-term solution. I think whether or not Danny ends up in the majority or the minority, he'll be fixed into that position, and will only go as far as his tribe dynamics allow him to. After the journey we went on with her, I was hoping that Season 7 wouldn't be the end of the story for Michelle. And lucky for all of us, we're going to get at least one more chapter here in this upcoming season. Something that Michelle showed everyone is that she is fierce. From winning more than half of the individual immunity challenges, to finding idols, to scrambling like her life was on the line, even when it wasn't, Michelle was an easy standout from Season 7. What I'm interested in seeing is if the script will be flipped now, in which Michelle enters the game as the most threatening returning player that the fresh faces target right away. I do think this is very possible, and Michelle might be the recipient of the compliment that no one wants to hear, in that she was voted out simply for being too good at the game. But target Michelle at your own risk. She probably has a new trick or two up her sleeve, and if you aren't prepared for the brawl that would go down in trying to knock her out pre-merge, it might be time to pack your own bags. It would be hard to find someone more ready to show up and show out this season than Julia. She's been counting down the days for over a year now, and her time has finally arrived. Besides being excited, Julia is looking to compete and to test herself. I think she mainly thinks of the challenges when saying this, but I bet she's going to find the strategic elements of the game just as fascinating. Julia comes in with a great respect of all of her castmates, especially the returning players, and that attitude is a great one for getting off on the right foot with others. But a little bit under the surface, I know she's concerned about the prior connections that some of the players have. I'll be interested to see if attempting to sever some of those ties is what drives Julia's game, or if she hopes to work alongside those established connections in order to join ready-made alliances. Julia also has a certain presence about her, which I think should make for a really fun watch over the duration of her stay in Branford. Throughout the history of Survivor, there have been players to be voted out early, only to come back and emerge as a series staple. And we may be seeing that here when it comes to Ryan. I'm glad that his experience last season didn't dampen his enthusiasm for playing this game one more time. In Season 7, Ryan showed flashes of great strategic thinking, but just never could get on the right side of the numbers on his constantly losing pre-merge tribe. And yet, he stuck out 2 votes before it came for him. I've wondered what Ryan's post-merge game could have looked like, and I'm expecting that this question will be answered this time around. I think that Ryan will emerge as one of the leaders on his tribe, which should present him plenty of options up front for how he chooses to play and with whom. And at the merge, I think Ryan could be one of the players to watch, as he certainly won't be bound by pre-merge relationships. As a superfan, Ryan surely must have other ideas and tricks I'm not accounting for, and it's going to be a pleasure to watch how things unfold. All of the personality this season needs may be rolled up into one player. I can't wait for you to meet Ralph. Now, I don't know where this ride is going, or how long it'll last, but I'm going to enjoy every second of it. The hardest to predict aspect of Ralph's game will be the perception that his tribe mates will have of him. Some will definitely see him as a funny, don't take the game too seriously, enjoyable presence around camp. Then there will be others who might not vibe too well with a player like that. Ralph himself admits that he wonders if his likability will help or hurt him in this game. One thing that no one can debate though when it comes to Ralph will be that he will bring it in the challenges. Competitive and with a great build for swimming and sprinting, anyone would be happy to see Ralph lining up on their side of the challenge field. And one intangible that has me personally rooting for Ralph is that he and I come from the same hometown. Go Dragons. I think we could have a potential fan favorite on our hands when it comes to Stephanie. It's hard for me not to be excited about what she brings to the table. Stephanie is competitive and is coming in ready to give this season her all. She's quick to mention how she feels that she could have a bit of a home court advantage, having spent a lot of time at the lake in her youth. This not only could provide her a boost in some of the water challenges, but also having a general comfort with the land might also give you a leg up when it comes to searching for those all-important hidden immunity idols. Stephanie is also aware that everyone in this game is best served to play as themselves, and trying to pretend you're someone else or hide aspects of yourself doesn't often have great results. And if Stephanie does take her own words to heart, it would surely be a treat if her snarky side comes out to play and how that would impact the game. I think that Stephanie finds herself on a tribe which will welcome her, and I think that's all she's going to need to make her impact. If I love your game, you're getting an automatic invite back. And that's why this season, we're getting more of Lisa. Her Season 7 debut was really impressive, and I can't wait to see what she does next. Last season, Lisa as a new player made running the game against a handful of veterans look easy. It only took one vote for Lisa to become the unquestioned leader of her pre-merge tribe, and one vote for Lisa to become the leader of her post-merge tribe. In playing a bold game like this, Lisa did manage to rack up the votes against, setting a Survivor Branford record until she was ultimately voted out due to a Final 7 flipper. This season, I expect we're going to see a similar risk-taking, trying to lead the action Lisa, but in remembering her final words from Season 7, she might try to time her emergence to be just a little bit later. Lisa has everything she could need to win this game, and with experience under her belt and a year to get ready for Season 8, watch out. One of the new players this season that could have very high upside is Steven. And there's a few different reasons why I feel this way. One, and I'll get this out of the way first, is that he's no stranger to the show and how it works. But that's only a single factor, since this is true of so many of the other players. Steven has life experience, having lived all over, worked with many different people, and going through some things that can really toughen your resolve. That might sound a bit dramatic for this, but it does apply to Survivor, and the only other person who in one of these Meet the Cast videos that I touted the life experience of went on to make the final 3. That might not be a coincidence. Steven, maybe more importantly, is likable. He can be disarming when he talks, and is easy to laugh at himself or something you say. And having that pull can make even smart players question what might seem like the right move to vote out someone that they genuinely like. I think this season will be better for having Steven for however long he stays around. After climbing the mountain, some move on, while others look for an even bigger mountain to climb. And our resident thrill seeker is Sam. After winning Season 7, Sam's not only back, but he's looking to do it all over again. Sam is pumped for this, and with his main allies from his winning season not here, it'll be very interesting to watch the manner in which he plays this season. Overpromise, underdeliver. Let the chips fall where they will. Fit in with the tribe. All of these sentiments were voiced by Sam repeatedly during Season 7, and all of those thoughts are passive. I would be shocked if Sam didn't come into this game realizing that he needs to put himself more out front and drive the game, in part because of that defending winner target he's carrying on his back. Sam played a solid winning game in Season 7, maybe not flashy, but certainly effective. To repeat his winning game, we should all prepare to see Sam turn up the dial several notches. Only one player left to reveal, and I know what you're thinking. Is this the year that the streak finally comes to an end? Well, no, since you literally can't spell Survivor Branford without Dennis. Back for an unprecedented 8th season, Dennis is keeping his perfect attendance streak intact. Here's what I've learned about Dennis in watching him play 7 times. Between being a solid challenge contributor and speaking individually with all of his tribe mates, Dennis has almost never not made the merge. Post-merge, he always has to fight the perception that he'll turn on you, despite seasons of proven loyalty. But all that changed in Season 7, as Dennis executed his first true flip on an alliance. I'll be interested to see if that last impression of him sticks in the minds of his fellow tribe mates, or if the Survivor gods are finally ready to reward him. And yes, you actually can spell Survivor Branford without Dennis, but I did make you pause and think about it, didn't I? So those are the 14 players for this season, one of which we'll all be calling the Sole Survivor in just a few months. But which one am I calling the Sole Survivor right now? Lisa has everything I could want in a winner pick. Natural talent for this game, a hunger to be the best, and the adversity brought on by the end of her Season 7 game to fuel her. Maybe I'm putting too much into her ownership of last season, but I can't help but to think that, plus a year of experience to build upon, makes me feel as much confidence in Lisa that I could possibly feel in anyone else hours before this game is set to begin. So what do you think about my pick? Right on or way off? Feel free to leave your own in the comments. Now I am seriously risking being late at this point, and those buffs aren't going to hand themselves out. So I need to get going, but I look forward to everything that Survivor Branford Season 8 has in store, and I can't wait to bring it to you all on January 7th. Until then, safe travels everyone.